Lithuania has found itself in a sticky situation as a small country staring down a global giant. Not long ago, Lithuania became the first country in Europe to openly recognize Taiwan by allowing the opening of a Taiwanese representative office in its capital, Vilnius. To most people, this might seem like just another diplomatic move, but to China, it was a direct challenge. China considers Taiwan part of its territory, while Taiwan has maintained its own governance and democratic system for over 70 years. So when Lithuania allowed Taiwan to open a representative office under its official name, it was seen by China as crossing a red line. The world applauded Lithuania's courage, but that applause came with swift and severe consequences. Instead of resorting to loud sanctions or public declarations, China took a more subtle but impactful approach. It effectively erased Lithuania from its customs system. Lithuanian goods were blocked from entering Chinese ports, businesses faced significant disruptions, and the country's economy began to feel the strain. Lithuania was left with a tough choice. Should it back down and try to repair relations with China? Or should it double down, accept the pain, and look for new ways to stand strong? Lithuania chose resilience. In 2022, it increased efforts to protect its economy. New laws were passed, and the government pushed hard to diversify trade and reduce reliance on any one country, especially those that could use economic pressure as a weapon. So, how did Lithuania manage to stand its ground? And what can other countries learn from its bold stance? Let's break it down. Lithuania's decision to recognize Taiwan was groundbreaking. The opening of a representative office in Vilnius made the country a pioneer in Europe, marking a new stance in its relations with China. As their foreign minister, Gabrielius Landsbergis, put it, supporting Taiwan was about defending values that all democracies should stand for. But just as we said earlier, to Beijing, this was a slap in the face. China's One China policy demands that any country wanting relations with China must recognize Taiwan as part of its territory. Despite Taiwan having been self-governed and operating as a democracy for over 70 years, China remains steadfast in defending its policy regarding the island. Lithuania tried to navigate the situation by stating that the new office in Taiwan was not an official embassy and did not violate the One China policy. However, China did not accept this explanation. In response, it downgraded diplomatic relations with Lithuania and quietly blocked Lithuanian exports. So, what happened next? According to recent data from Chinese customs, shipments from Lithuania to China plummeted by a staggering 91.4% compared to the same time the previous year. To put that into perspective, Lithuanian goods valued at approximately $3.8 million entered China in December 2021, down from $43.1 million a year before, and $42.8 million in November 2021, when the Taiwanese office opened in Vilnius. This sharp decline in exports confirmed the claims of Lithuanian exporters that China had effectively closed its market to them. However, Beijing denied these accusations, stating that Lithuania had harmed its core interests, leading to a deep freeze in their bilateral relations. But Lithuania wasn't left to face this pressure alone. The dispute didn't just stay between Lithuania and China. Taiwan quickly stepped in, purchasing Lithuanian products that were meant for China, including about 20,000 bottles of rum, and pledged hundreds of millions of dollars in investments to support Lithuania's industries. The European Union got involved, seeing China's economic pressure as a threat to all EU member states. Many EU countries have strong economic ties with China, and Beijing's actions raised concerns about how easily trade could be weaponized. In January 2022, the EU filed a complaint with the World Trade Organization, accusing China of discriminatory trade practices against Lithuania that also affected other European nations. However, not all EU countries supported this approach, fearing it could lead to a trade war or deter Chinese investors. For Lithuania, this isn't unfamiliar territory. Back in 1990, it was the first Soviet republic to declare independence from Moscow's control. Joining the EU and NATO in 2004 was their way of making sure they'd never face that kind of pressure alone again. To help businesses cope with the crisis, the Lithuanian government launched financial support programs. For example, a €130 million fund was created to support companies during this challenging period. However, to the surprise of many, by early 2024, less than 3% of this amount had been utilized, barely a drop in the ocean. A similar situation occurred with support from the United States. The U.S. Export-Import Bank offered financial assistance to Lithuania, But by February 2024, Lithuanian companies had tapped into less than $1 million of the available funds. This low uptake raises an obvious question. Why weren't businesses taking advantage of these resources? There could be a few reasons. Maybe the loan terms weren't attractive or flexible enough. Maybe businesses didn't know how to access the funds, or the application process was too complicated. It's also possible that some companies were hesitant to take on more debt when the economic future looked so uncertain. Whatever the reason, the low utilization of funds suggests that Lithuania might need to reconsider its approach to implementing such measures. Despite the limited use of these resources, the very idea of creating such programs may have served a different purpose. By allocating funds and securing international support, Lithuania may have been sending a message to global markets. We are resilient and open for business. Sometimes showing strength and support matters just as much as the actual cash on the table. Former Lithuanian Prime Minister Andrius Kubilius put it bluntly, China needs to learn lessons because until now, they have been allowed to behave in a way that doesn't adhere to our values and rules, simply because they were so wealthy. He added, I don't see that bigger EU countries would have taken it upon themselves to stand up. Maybe from Lithuania, it will spread to others, and in time, Europe will stand united against a country that doesn't meet our standards. But while the political message was loud and clear, the economic fallout was immediate and painful. Lithuania's high-tech laser industry, which is a sector that had once thrived, was devastated. Once a leading exporter of advanced laser technology to China, Lithuania saw its market disappear almost overnight. Sales of these lasers, which were Lithuania's second-largest export in December 2020, collapsed by 95%, dropping to just $308,000. Diagnostic reagent exports fell by 98%, and peat shipments, vital for Lithuania's agricultural sector, dropped by 92%. Kristijonas Vizbaras, co-founder of the laser manufacturing company Brolis Group, voiced the frustration felt by many business leaders. So, technically, we have been sacrificed for this value-based policy. And it wasn't just the tech sector that took a hit. The agriculture sector didn't escape either. Exports of Lithuanian meat and grain to China stopped completely. China accused Lithuania of failing to meet technical export requirements, claiming that Lithuania hadn't provided the necessary documentation for beef and dairy exports since 2019. As a result, China officially suspended import declarations for these products. So, how do ordinary Lithuanians feel about all this? The country seems divided. A poll conducted by the Eastern Europe Studies Center revealed that nearly 48% of Lithuanians believe their country should maintain pragmatic and friendly ties with China, avoiding criticism of protecting economic interests. Only 21% supported the government's tough stance, while 31.5% remained neutral or undecided. Additionally, 44% of respondents worried that Lithuania's economy could struggle without Chinese investment. This split in public opinion highlights a deeper tension. While Lithuania's leaders champion standing up for democratic values, many citizens are feeling the strain of the economic backlash and wonder if the price is too high. Under mounting pressure, Lithuania's leadership is starting to show signs of softening its hardline stance on China. Lithuanian President Gitanas Nausėda recently admitted that letting Taiwan use its name for the office might have been a mistake. In a radio interview, he tried to downplay the decision, saying the problem wasn't the office itself, but its name. He even suggested that the move was not coordinated with me, a clear attempt to shift the blame. This wasn't just a slip-up. It exposed some serious tensions in Lithuania's government. President Nausėda has had a tense relationship with Prime Minister Ingrida Šimonytė, who pushed for the office to open. While Nausėda is signaling a more cautious approach, Šimonytė hasn't backed down. She's still loudly accusing China of economic bullying, though critics argue these claims may be exaggerated. After Lithuania's recent elections, the political winds began to shift. The newly elected Prime Minister, Gintautas Paluckas, is taking a more cautious and pragmatic approach. He's made it clear that Lithuania wants to restore diplomatic ties with China, but without looking weak. We will not fall to our knees and beg for anything, Paluckas said, but he acknowledged that having diplomatic relations with China is still important. Lithuania's Economy and Innovation Minister, Lukas Savickas, also criticized the previous government's aggressive approach, calling it out of line and admitting that Lithuanian businesses need access to the Chinese market. But let's be clear, this doesn't mean Lithuania is turning its back on Taiwan. The new government still sees China as a security challenge, and it has pledged to keep developing economic and cultural ties with Taiwan. As expert Rygirdas Baruta from Vilnius University put it, the new government is simply drawing clearer lines in how it deals with China. They're trying to balance their values with the cold, hard reality of economic survival. Behind the scenes, there are whispers that Lithuania and China are quietly talking. These discussions could be the first step toward easing tensions and restoring some trade relations. However, this entire situation underscores a harsh reality. It's easy to stand firm on principles when there's little to lose. But when economic hardships start to take their toll, the true complexity of such decisions comes to light. Lithuania is now facing a tough question. How do you balance your values with economic survival? If Lithuania manages to rebuild its trade ties with China, the rewards could be transformative. Economic recovery could revitalize industries like high-tech manufacturing, agriculture, and export-driven businesses, sectors that suffered heavily during the diplomatic standoff. But let's face it, the path to reconciliation won't be easy. China isn't known for forgiving quickly. To mend relations, Lithuania might have to make some hard choices, perhaps scaling back its support for Taiwan or softening its stance on certain diplomatic issues. The real question is, how far is Lithuania willing to go to repair its relationship with Beijing? This situation also highlights how China's economic pressure tactics are evolving. In the past, they were more direct: trade bans, sanctions, and political isolation. Now, Beijing has adopted more subtle but equally powerful tools, like disrupting supply chains. However, these tactics can backfire, especially when they push smaller nations to unite and seek international support, something Lithuania successfully achieved. To be fair, Lithuania's response wasn't flawless. Early on, its government struggled to coordinate with businesses and international partners, but over time, they rallied support from the European Union, the United States, and even Taiwan. This show of solidarity sent a clear message: economic bullying will not go unanswered. That said, there's no universal playbook for standing up to a global power like China. Every country has its own political realities, legal frameworks, and public opinion to navigate. Some might choose to openly confront these challenges, while others prefer to work behind the scenes. Similarly, international allies might offer quiet support, rather than risk their own economic ties with Beijing. Lithuania's experience proves that resilience and strategic alliances can truly make a difference. However, choosing such a path requires being prepared for significant economic consequences. Now, the big question is, should Lithuania prioritize its principles or its economy? What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and check out the next video for more deep dives into global issues. Thanks for watching.